So let's continue with the Riverlands. Because you just mentioned that House Frey is gonna die. I think a Red Wedding 2.0 is gonna happen. I think Jamie is gonna be the ticket for the Red Wedding 2.0 because I think they're gonna
Yep.
make. It's hard to make a deal with a corpse, so I'm not seeing a like big deal. It's either a you either do this for me or I'm just gonna hang you and everyone, Podrick and Brienne here. I think they're gonna be forced. And okay, let's say Brienne actually has to participate as well. And it's just insanely gory and just completely ridiculous thing where it's not even revenge anymore. It's just like slaughter, and Brienne has
Yeah.
to partake. That would be very George R. R. Martin-ish as well. I think where you put a character in this scenario where she has to do these horrible things even though she's very honorable.
I think the interesting question is when you look at revenge for a revenge red winning, is it like are all of the Freys to blame, or is it should it just be like the higher up people? Because like if you're a lower Frey, say you're not in line to inherit the twins or anything, or you're a soldier of the Freys, this is what your lords are telling you to do, or your higher ups. If you disobey them, like it's not looking great. So at what point is it like you said, is it just okay, we're slaughtering people because they were involved? Or should it just be if you really want revenge, should it just be like some of the higher ups, Black Walder, people like
Yeah,
that, Walder Frey? But I don't know.
I th-
I think that's gonna be interesting because I think that could tie into depending on the time at which all this happens, because I think the timing of all these characters meeting up is the interesting part. Is if Arya is there to witness this,
mm,
could be really interesting for her story and character arc. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I think it's gonna be the exact opposite from what we've seen in the show. The show obviously just glorified it, and I
Yeah.
always hated that scene. I always hated the way the music came in when she was slaughtering Walder Frey, and then I get it, man. It's your epic revenge, but really, is every person that is sitting there, was every person involved? Are they all bad? No, that's just not. That's so much not George R. R. Martin. So the other way around would be for George to show it from Brienne's point of view, and she has to participate, and it's just oh my god, it's bad, and it's not even justified. It's just killing everyone that is set there, and just this horrible thing this
Yeah.
character is
Do
forced to do.
something that is unthinkable. Make us feel bad for the phrase.
Yeah, that is exactly
And
what
another
should
thing is
happen.
there are phrase that like didn't want to participate in the red like there were specifically when we go to the red wedding like some of the build up chapters there are specific phrase that aren't at the twins because they still believed in Rob, they still wanted to stay with Rob. So it's like how are these people going to be treated? Are they also going to be killed even though they liked Rob and they weren't involved but they're still a Frey?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a gruesome thing. I think it's gonna go down. I think it's gonna happen, but I don't think it's gonna be beautiful or anything like that. Apart from
I
that,
agree.
I got Stoneheart dying as well in this book, but much later on. I think it just fits Arya, Mercy killing
Yeah,
her,
I'm a
Mercy killing
big
her
fan of
mom.
that.
Yeah,
I think it would be a great thing to add to Arya's character, where Arya has been all about revenge, and that's kind of been her thing, where she's killing people the last like book two or two, and to kind of see like what her mother has become and been consumed by these exact things she's been going through. It would be some really strong writing for George to put into Arya's character to make her feel very conflicted. Because the other idea would be like, how does Arya actually get out of Bravos? Like I am someone that doesn't believe that the faceless men are just gonna let her do it, and we'll talk about that probably later. But if she's given something like she has to assassinate someone, does that now have some conflict within her? Like, should I do that? Like, this is what happened to my mother, and she turned into this horrible zombie person that she's even willing to like hang people that were her friends, like Brienne. I don't know. It's an interesting like character dilemma you could have there.
yeah, and it also pushes her towards another direction.
Yeah.
It's that conflict that's just gonna be beautiful. If she really Mercy kills her mother, it's just gonna be an incredible chapter. That's just so tragic.
Yeah, it's set up to be like that would be one of the best chapters, I think,
Mm,
throughout the entire series if done correctly, which George always does. So
yeah. That's it when it comes to the Riverlands. I don't see anyone else dying. I don't think Jamie dies. I don't think Brienne dies.
no, definitely not.
I don't even see Podrick dying.
Yeah, I think they're all safe. The only thing, again, I can see with maybe no, I mean Jamie is a tough one because that one would depend for me if King's Landing is taken at the end of this by young Griff, because I do think Jamie could be involved in that plot line. But if that doesn't happen in this book, then yeah, I think he's safe. But yeah, that's all I got to say. I don't really think there's anybody else in Riverlands right now that I would say is gonna die.
But let's jump to the next region. Yeah, where should we go? What about the Westerlands? Because I think that's where
Okay.
Cersei's gonna be. And I think that's where Cersei is gonna die.
Okay. See, I'm a little conflicted on this one because every time I do any video talking about how I think Cersei is going to go out, it's like 50-50.
Hmm.
Some people think she's going to escape King's Landing or she'll go to Casterly Rock, like you suggested. I'm one of those people that thinks she's just going to die at King's Landing. I think she kind of goes out in a Mad Queen kind of way, very
Hmm.
similar to Eris. I've compared like the sack of King's Landing to kind of what's going to happen with Young Griff. Outside of it, I don't think it's going to be a sack. It's going to be more like Young Griff arrives, the gates are open. Um, because again, there's going to be some sand snakes in there. Varys is doing his work there. I think young Griff could just roll up. The gates are wide open, and he kind of just strides through the city like a hero. And it's going to be that I feel like a contrast to young Griff and Danny, where Danny's going to come over and not really get that feeling.
Hmm.
I think she's going to be viewed more as an outsider, where young Griff is going to be like a hero type. And I could see Cersei just seeing that everyone's turned on her, starts to kind of just go insane, kind of like Eris did at the end of his life. And again, see, this is where like the timing of things I don't know, because if Jamie is still in the Riverlands for a lot of Winds of Winter and doesn't make it back to Cast or King's Landing, then I don't think this is going to happen necessarily. But I could see like Jamie killing Cersei and then Jamie ending up either getting executed by young Griff or whatever.
There's
But
so many what ifs. Like those are just wild shots in the dark, you know, just predicting. Okay, I
yeah,
could see this happening. I could see this happening. But if, in order for Jamie to kill, to kill Cersei in Casterly Rock, Jamie has got to survive due to Red Wedding 2.0.
yep,
If we're going by what
yep.
we think,
Mm-hmm.
Cersei has got to flee after young Griff comes, and after they deal with the Faith Militant, all that type of stuff. It's so much.
Yeah, it's a
So
lot.
those are wild shots in the dark for the people out there listening.
Yeah,
But it's fun to speculate, and that's
it,
why we're
it
doing
really
it.
is. And like, think about how long we've had in between like this last book
Oh
and
my
then
god.
wins. And it's like we've had forever to speculate on this stuff. And that's
Yeah.
why another thing where I think George is kind of battling in his mind. It's like maybe this is what he had planned out, but now he's like, okay, well, should I do that? Should I like
Mm.
maybe throw a wrench into it so it's not like everybody already expects it, like they've already read it basically because of fan theories and stuff like that. It's interesting the way all that kind of works out.
Yeah. Yeah. He always said that he doesn't go online to read theories and stuff, but come on. Come
Yeah.
on. Do you
Even if
do
he
you buy
doesn't go
that?
online, but I think that he probably does like stay offline from those things, but he's heard at least some of them. Like he's at least
Every
like
time
more the
someone,
popular ones, stuff like that, or even like okay, in person,
yeah,
like you go to
at
any of these
cons.
like Game of Cons, yeah, people are gonna go walk up to him and be like, "What about this theory?"
Yeah.
He's gonna
Like
have at least heard it.
oh for sure. Like that's he can't like just not going online. It's not gonna help you. Because
Yeah,
people are crazy and they're just gonna yell it out to you, you know?
yeah, I 100% agree. Also, you have like interviews. Say people interview, and you have people like that want to know like certain questions or theories or something.
The thing is with
So
his
it's
interviews
impossible to
though,
escape.
the thing with his interviews is it's like every time I'm watching it and another interview of his, it's always the same thing. Like
Yeah,
he barely drops anything new, and when he does, it's about House of the Dragon. But
yep.
it's the thing. What's that phrase he always kept kept. He always said like, "How many children did Scarlett O'Hara have?" Like that was all he ever said about Game of Thrones. Comparing the two, it was
Yeah.
like it's one version, but of my story, and the other one is gonna be very different, but the same thing. And it's yeah, it's always the same. It's always the same.
Yeah,
So
George is a weird one because like I don't even really like watch his interviews or anything anymore because I
mm,
know like I'm not really getting anything new out of him usually. Like outside of like the last like couple months because I feel like the last couple months he seemed a bit more like excited to talk about wins.
mm,
Even stuff like okay, how far he is through the book is something that was unheard of for the last
yeah,
couple years. Like he wouldn't have said stuff like that. And so it's funny because like I have one of my mods on my channel, like they'll tell me like if he says anything, and then I have to instantly make a video. But it's interesting the way like he went so long where I feel like he was very frustrated with the story, and he was frustrated that other people were trying to complete his story
mm,
and make rewrites and stuff like that. Where I think to a degree that has motivated him to finish his own story, and hopefully we get it. But I don't know.
I think we're gonna get Winter. A Dream
I
of
agree.
Spring. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I did a topic on this, and I think Winds of Winter will probably get, but Dream of Spring, that's I think the best case scenario for Dream of Spring is like he's by doing Winds of Winter, he's kind of figure out what he wants to do in Dream, and then hopefully it makes it easier to write. But still, I mean that's gonna be it's still gonna be another big book.
Yeah. Well, let's continue with the Winds of Winter. Um, let's talk about point of view chapters that I think are going to die in this book.